All right, you're on Weather Nation here tonight. Well, we've been tracking a dangerous storm off the west coast of the U.S. for many days. It's been producing hail in parts of California, record rains in just the last 24 hours across areas of Nevada. And now this system is targeting the plains. Well, there is going to be a lot of storm chaser convergence taking place across the middle of the country. And one of those people probably involved in some storm chaser convergence is our very own storm chaser extraordinaire, Reed Timmer. He is on the Skype with us here right now. Reed, we appreciate you joining us here with your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we went back and looked here, and I follow you on Twitter and follow sort of your descriptions of what's happening with the weather. Back on October the 7th, you were talking about an event of significant severe weather coming up here this week.
Yeah, we were tracking that really large trough that was digging just off the coast of the west coast of the U.S. And one thing about this time of year is when the polar jet stream comes south and you have a weak El Nino, you have a stronger subtropical jet, so it was digging that system. And we were confident that there would be a high amplitude trough moving across the central U.S. And it looks like today there's going to be a few tornadoes in the Texas Panhandle. Even extending overnight, that tornado threat should increase. And then on Saturday, it looks like there's going to be a substantial tornado outbreak across parts of the southern plains into the central plains.
In making predictions, it's obviously a difficult science. We all know that. What kind of glaring elements were you seeing days ago that really made this thing kind of jump out at you? Was it just that it was in October? I mean, what was kind of just jumped off the charts?
Well, we were anticipating an active fall season this year. It reminds me a lot of 2006, 2012 does. This year it was very inactive in terms of tornadoes over the U.S. And then in the Canadian prairies, it was very active with tornadoes. And we anticipated an active fall season as that polar jet slides south. And there are some Pacific climate system indicators. There's some cold horseshoe-shaped area in the Pacific called the Pacific Decadal Oscillation that's cold, and an El Nino emerging. And so we knew when that polar jet stream came south, it would start digging troughs in the western U.S. And that's finally what's happening. And with the models 7 to 10 days out or more, it's very difficult to know if what's going to transpire. The models can change a lot over that time, and 7 to 10 days is toward the end of the predictability limit. But a lot of the long-range models were fairly consistent in the evolution of this system, so we were confident there's going to be an outbreak of severe weather. It was just a question of exactly where in the central and southern U.S.
All right, well, we're all forecasters here. Of course, we all spend our time looking at weather maps. For you, I mean, give me some in-depth information here. Maybe this is a secret you don't want to let out, but how much time will you and your team spend looking at weather data, trying to figure out, okay, here's where we need to go? Is it more than 5 hours? Is it a full day, or what is it?
Well, we look at every model run days leading up to an event, and honestly, I don't have much of a personal life. I pretty much work on my dissertation, storm chase, and that's about it. Don't get out of the car much. So I'm looking at models all the time, and you look at how the models are changing, how the biases are changing. Is it slowing down systems? Is it making them more intense, more progressive? And you compare the different runs, and you see how consistent they are. And we're constantly looking at models right up to the event even. And like today in the Texas Panhandle, we're looking at those rapid update models. There's the RAP model that updates every hour, and we're comparing that to the real conditions to see how accurate they are. And one thing that I like to really focus on are the low levels of the atmosphere, that lowest kilometer. Mm-hmm. And you really want that wind shear, changing wind speed and direction with height, the lowest levels of the atmosphere, to be ideal with the storm motion. So it takes in all that rotation, stretches it into the vertical, and produces tornadoes. And I say want, but we really don't want that to happen, especially today and especially tomorrow when it looks like it's going to be a more widespread outbreak of tornadoes over populated areas. So it could be a dangerous day tomorrow.
Yeah, and definitely is. A lot of the National Weather Service offices, like you, are talking about the good chances of severe weather and a significant outbreak. If there's one spoiler that you guys are looking at, I mean, we kind of have in our mind what we think it might be. What's the one spoiler weather-wise that could occur that may set this event back from being just explosive in your mind?
Well, a lot of people, I think, are questioning the instability or storms going up overnight tonight in the southern plains and kind of tainting that moisture return. But usually during the fall, you don't have those huge instability values that you get in the late spring and summer. And I'm a big believer of wind shear generating a storm, allowing a rotating storm to generate its own updraft and overcoming for some of those lacks of instability. And in this system, the low-level wind shear is through the roof. I mean, I'm looking at forecast soundings in the warm sector on Saturday from the southern plains all the way up to Iowa and they all look conducive for tornadoes, and some of those do look conducive for strong tornadoes, especially now a little bit further south.
All right, well, that's a good point, Reed. I mean, certainly tomorrow does look very interesting across the country. Let's go back, and if you don't mind, touch base on the year of 2012. Obviously, you know, Oklahoma, Texas, supposed to be the epicenter of severe weather. Things got pretty quiet this summer. What were your thoughts on the 2012 tornado season?
Yeah, you're right. It's been record-breaking, and thankfully it was record-breaking in terms of the low side, so there weren't as many tornadoes. And the U.S. definitely needed a break after the 2010-2011 seasons where it was not only very active for tornadoes, but we saw damage like we've never seen before. And this year reminds me a lot of 2006, where the U.S. season, again, was very inactive. The Canadian prairies had an active severe weather season, and now it looks like the fall season is starting to get active as well. And you have this weak El Nino, but you also had cold waters in the North Pacific that contributed to that. But it was a tough storm chasing season. I mean, it was a grind. You know, we drove 70, 80,000 miles this year, many times not seeing a single tornado, especially during the month of May until toward the end. And it was just one of those years where you didn't get many storms, and then we also had drought conditions, heat waves in August, which made it very extreme and rough, I know, on a lot of the farmers in the central U.S. So it was a very interesting year, and it just seems like things are becoming more extreme with time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. And I know you've got a lot of followers that are from Canada, a lot of your Storm Chase team, good folks up there in Saskatchewan and Alberta. I follow quite a few of those guys. And you might want to think about a second home up there in Canada sometime, I think.
I'm going to, I think. Yeah, we got to get a home base up there because, I mean, driving back and forth from Oklahoma to up there and, you know, all the gas station meals in between, it's not good for the health. So
no.
A lot of driving us here.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, we got just a couple last questions here for you, Reed, and then we're going to let you go because I know you got to get out there on the road. Let's talk about now going into maybe the spring of 2013. Okay, we're kind of in a medium, maybe light El Nino. Maybe we're just neutral. Thoughts going into next March, April down in the southern U.S.
Yeah, right now it is neutral to a slight El Nino, but looking at the subsurface conditions, I mean, I expect that El Nino to become a little bit more robust in the off season. And if the northern Pacific climate system remains similar and that El Nino intensifies a little bit, I could see it being an active tornado season in the southern plains, but it's still so far in advance. I mean, but I think it'll be very similar to 2007 even, just like we had 2006 last year. The climate system will go in cycles, and I could see the southern plains getting active again. And it's almost becoming a desert here in Oklahoma, so we could use the rain, and unfortunately, that time of year, a lot of times the rain comes with tornadoes. So we'll be out there in the spring chasing, that's for sure. Okay.
Well, again, you know, our job as storm chasers, obviously, is to save people's lives. I'm sure you have plans with your team, and many others will be out there storm chasing. Rough target areas for the next couple of days, you know, kind of where are you thinking are the sweet spots that you might be found this weekend?
Well, today we're targeting the extreme northwest Texas panhandle, western Oklahoma panhandle, to northeast New Mexico, where that warm front will intersect with some type of dry line. Who knows how far west we're going to have to go, possibly into New Mexico. And we've actually shifted our target now for Saturday. I know for several days it looked like Iowa was going to be the hot spot into Missouri. But it looks like the storm system has been slowing down a little bit, run to run. And now it looks like we might be targeting eastern Kansas, possibly even in northern Oklahoma, where those strongest wind shear values and also the highest moisture is going to be. But that can always change. But I'd say, yeah, it looks like northeast New Mexico today and eastern Kansas, Oklahoma tomorrow.
All right. Well, Reed, we appreciate your time here tonight. Going to be a tough weekend for your storm chasing. And, of course, you got the border war, the Red River War going on between Oklahoma and Texas this weekend. I know who you're cheering for.
You're right. Go Sooners.
All right. Thanks very much for your time, Reed, and good luck out there in the field.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe out there, everybody.
All right. Awesome job, Reed.
Oh, thank you. Great interview.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. And